All right, good morning, everybody. I am your mystery reader, and today I'll be sharing with you Two Bad Ants, one of my all-time favorite Chris Van Allsburg books. He's the one that also wrote Jumanji. All right, let's just dive right in. Two Bad Ants. Let's see if I can hold the pictures up too. Bear with me; it's the first time using Screencastify for recording a book. All right. The news traveled swiftly through the tunnels of the ant world. A scout had made a remarkable discovery, a beautiful, sparkling crystal. She deemed it the most delicious food she had ever tasted. Nothing could make her happier than to have more, much more. The ants understood. It was late in the day when they departed. Long shadows stretched over the entrance to the ant kingdom. One by one, the insects climbed out, following the scout, who had made it clear there were many crystals where the first had been. But the journey was long. Once more, the line of ants stopped and listened anxiously for the sounds of hungry spiders. But all they heard was the call of crickets, echoing through the woods like distant thunder. Dew formed on the leaves, and without warning, huge drops of cold water would splash down on the ants. Crazy journey. At the edge of the forest stood a mountain. The ants looked up. They could not see its peak. The wind whistled through the cracks of the mountain's face. The ants could feel its force pushing against their delicate antennas. Very dangerous. When the ants came out of the tunnel, they found themselves in a strange world. Smells they had known all their lives were gone. There was no wind. And most puzzling of all, it seemed like the sky was gone. Where do you think they ended up? If you guessed kitchen, you're right. Quickly, they chose a crystal, then turned and started the journey home. There was something about this unnatural place that made the ants nervous. In fact, they left in such a hurry that no one noticed that two small ants stayed behind. Whoops, right there. They're eating the magic crystals. Here's a clue as to what those crystals really are. Delicious. Daylight came and the two ants had fallen asleep. They were unaware of the changes taking place in their new home. A giant silver scoop hovered above them. It shoveled both ants, carried through them in the air, and terrified, they tumbled through space, falling as they were dropped off of the spoon. Then the giant scoop stirred violently back and forth, waves crushing over the ants. They paddled hard, swimming as best they could to stay above, and it was a hot, brown liquid they were in. Any guesses on what that is? Maybe. Then the lake tilted and began to empty into a cave. The ants could hear the water rushing and felt themselves pulled toward the pitch black hole. They swam to shore and found that the lake had steep sides. They hurried down. The frightened insects looked for a place to hide. Can you see where the brown lake really was? Yikes. They found a cave that they wanted to hide inside. But as they hid, it was lifted, tilted, and lowered. And when the ants climbed out of their hiding spot, they were surrounded by a strange red glow. And every second, the temperature was rising. It was almost unbearable when suddenly they popped up and were flung into space. Can you guess where they were hiding? What were they hiding inside of? All right, stay tuned for part 2 and what happens to the two bad ants.